Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Peeps and Poops. I'm your host, Rainer the Dog Trainer. God, I have people calling me Rainer, that's funny. Nicknames don't stick to me for some reason, but Rainer's a sticky one. Rainer. So all you dog roaners and dog randlers and dog rubbers, and all you rogs, I'm hoping today we could talk about, let's call this one, Don't Spazz the Dog, right? And what I mean by that is if you've been like following some of these, like the separation anxiety, when you walk in the door after coming home from work or wherever, you don't spazz the dog is invisible. So you just kind of like cruise in. You like come and go like the wind, just quietly, and keep them calm. And then when you walk in the door, you just ignore them, and they just will like, oh, there you are. And then you can kind of do your thing, settle down, sit down on the couch or whatever you know, and the dog will walk up and sit and like, good sit. That's a much better way to like come home rather than throw the door open. Puppy, I'm home. Wah! Jump all over you. Oh, ruin your clothes, paws on your stuff. And then the dog's like, wee, out of its head, runs around, wags its tail, bumps into something, knocks stuff over, probably has to drop a deuce and go to the bathroom. So you don't want to get the dog like overstimulated, out of its head. I'm going to put some tires on the car, so I'm just waiting to do that real quick. Thought we'd ramble about this. So don't spazz the dog. Keep the dog like totally chill, especially inside. When you're outside and it's playtime and maybe you got the hose and you have one of those dogs that or frisbee or ball, or take it to the dog park and it's running with the other dogs. Even with running with the other dogs thing, just kind of keep an eye on your dog and don't let your dog get too out of its head. Because sometimes the dog will just be spazzing, and all this jumping around all the excitement will turn into like aggression in a dog fight in a lot of these dogs, a lot of these breeds. So don't spazz the dog. That's like keeping the dog calm is a good thing. A calm dog is always a good dog. It's a dog that's under control. And there's time to play with the dog. And, if the dog comes over with its toy, it runs around and you guys are settled in the living room after it eats. And it does some tug of war and some wrestle and some silliness. And that's all good fun play. And just keep an eye on the dog so that it doesn't until the dog is just totally out of its head. And like Ruby, when she's like so overstimulated, she's just charging. Then she's getting the other dogs jumping. And then I have to pee, I have to poo. Right here's good. And she'll drop a deuce. It's just she's out of her head. So that whole Spazz the Dog thing, that's today's ramble. So keep the dogs calm. Inside, keep the dogs calm. Of course, if the dogs are in the car, keep the dogs calm. The crate is not a punishment. The crate is their happy place, which will bring the dog down to a nice calm in the crate, like a little den with it covered with a blanket. That keeps the dogs calm. So I don't know how people do dogs without a dog crate, quite frankly. I see people, okay, you're going to have a timeout, and timeouts are good. They're not punishments. They're just like chill out time. But if they can do their timeout, not just separated in another room or something, but if they can do their timeout in their crate, the crate is like it's shaped for that size dog, and it's like a den with the blanket over it. And then when they're getting too crazy, come on, let's go to your place. And then they go in and shut the door, blanket over it, and nobody talks to them. They're in there, maybe even in the dark, just chill. And Ruby, she comes out, she gets like out of her head in about 10 minutes. And if you don't catch her, she's doing something crazy and getting the other dogs all like out of their head. And then you've got a 90-pound Mr. Poops jumping around like a little 10-pound Chihuahua, and that's not good. So Ruby, she'll come out in 10 minutes. It's time for her to have her go to your place, and she'll chill out in the crate. So the crate's a big one. The way you keep things calm when you come home is a big one. Even before you leave, you ignore the dog for a while. That's the separation anxiety stuff. That's a big one. And in general, we don't spaz our dogs. Okay, guys. Well, thanks for listening to this ramble. I keep saying we have a Patreon in the link. And Baxter's like, Dad, it's a Patreon in the banner. And that's the link to the Patreon. And actually, when you go to the Patreon, it says Yosemite Baxter, because we have another, we have a few more, well, actually 2 more or something. But Yosemite Baxter is one of our YouTube sites. And Peeps and Poops, this dog training stuff. So if you want to go to do the Patreon thing, that's always helpful, and we appreciate that. And hopefully we're getting, we're posting a lot of silly stuff, I know that. And it's like we're, you know, if we can't goof around, it's not worth doing. So the information is good, and all this information came from Flano when he was down south doing all this stuff. So this is all like good dog training, dog psychology information that comes from like the people that were like the top of the tops doing this stuff. I'm just Rainer the dog rambler, conveying this message, conveying all this information on a YouTube channel. Because what I want to see is, I want to see more of these dogs that are in these shelters and that need to be adopted. I want to see people to be able to adopt these dogs and keep them and rehabilitate them. And these dogs will, you know, the dogs will rehabilitate us, and dogs and people and dogs, and just getting it all to work better. You know, hey, if you can get something out of these Rainer the dog trainer rambles, hallelujah. So that's why we're doing it. So, okay, guys, thank you very much for watching once again. And posting is, you know, every time I have to run an errand or, you know, walk down the street with the phone or something, I'm doing a little, you know, one snippet spiel. And we'll see you soon. Poof!